Hey everybody, welcome back to Step by Step. Today I'm going to take a look at the Garbodor Trevenant deck that I've been playing recently. I know a few of you asked for a breakdown of the list, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think of the deck. First of all, I'll say I know that there's a couple different variants of the deck going around. There's a variant that runs Drampa GX and Team Magma Secret Base. That way you can damage your own Pokemon and get Drampa GX to hit for 150 as quickly as possible, with a choice band that escalates to 180 really quick. And of course you can always Big Wheel GX to shuffle in and draw 10 cards, which is really cool. It's something I wouldn't mind trying in this list, but I still would want to run the Trevenant. I would still want at least a 2-2 Trevenant, 2 Drampa, and then maybe I would cut like the Hex, the Wally, and I don't know, one other card to put in 3 Magma base. I think it's a good idea, but at the moment, this is what we're working with, and maybe in the future I'll do some videos with the Drampa build. So, let's talk about this deck. We've got a 4-4 Garbodor. That doesn't need too much explanation, you just want to stream your Garbodor as much as possible. I've got a 4-2 Trevenant. If I didn't want my opponents to think I was playing a primarily Trevenant deck, then I wouldn't run 4 Phantom. I run 4 Phantom so I can start with it, and hopefully bait my opponents into discarding their trainer cards to fuel Trashallants. Now, if my opponents don't discard their trainer cards, then I actually will try to attack with Trevenant to put some early pressure on them, and at least set up two hit knockouts, or just go ahead and try to get, sometimes you can get the knockout depending on what you're playing against, like if you're playing against Groudon or if you're playing against Lapras. Lapras is more popular, but a couple of decently popular decks on PTCGO. Trevenant with a choice band is super powerful against those decks. So, Trevenant's actually also really good in the mirror match. In the mirror match, nobody wants to play trainer cards. People will attack with either like Tauros or Drampa or something like that. And being able to put early pressure on with Trevenant is really good. Also, you can usually take one-shot knockouts against Garbodor with Trevenant. It just gives you more attackers in that matchup, more one-prize attackers rather than two-prize attackers if you're running the Tauros or the Drampa versions. So yeah, I really like Trevenant, and it's really helped me out in a lot of games. I highly recommend it. And like I said a minute ago, I could see playing a 2-2 Trevenant and then adding in a Drampa or 2 with a couple of Magma Secret Base. I think it's a good idea, and it's definitely something I'll try in the future. For consistency cards, we've got 2 Shaymin EX and 1 Tapu Lele GX. I'd like to have a second Tapu Lele GX in here. I just don't have the code cards yet. I at least got one, and I'm happy I can at least show you the list with 1 Tapu Lele in there. Tapu Lele is really cool. Basically, using Tapu Lele, I can search my deck for any card that I want aside from energy cards. If I were to play the Oricorio that lets you search for 2 energies, or a Professor's Letter, Prof's Letter, then I would be able to search for even my basic energies and just not the Double Colorless. On a side note, you can use, if you were to run Acrobike and Mallow, I think I may have mentioned this in one of my other videos, you can run Tapu Lele, search your deck for Mallow, put the Double Colorless energy on the top of your deck, and then Acrobike into your Double Colorless energy. So it is possible, and you can do the same thing if you were to have enough cards or have the few enough cards in hand to play a Shaymin. You can Tapu Lele for Mallow, put the DCE on top, and then play your Shaymin and take it that way. Same thing with Octillery or whatever cards let you draw the top card of your deck. So you can actually get Double Colorless energies with Tapu Lele, it's just a little more difficult. But yeah, in this deck, I really like being able to Tapu Lele for Wally if I start with like a Trubbish or something, or even a Phantom. Tapu Lele for Wally, go ahead and get out the Garbodor or the Trevenant, as long as I've got the energies in my hand or a Shaymin in my hand to help refresh whatever I don't get, be it the Pokemon or the energy. Be it the support, the Tapu Lele or the energy. I like being able to make that play to be able to go ahead and evolve into Garbodor or Trevenant on turn 1. Of course, like I was saying a moment ago, you can Tapu Lele into Skyla and get any supporter for the next turn or any trainer this turn. So, I really like that. Or, of course, you can get the Ultra Ball for whatever Pokemon you're missing. So, I really like Tapu Lele in this deck, and I really would like to add 2. Well, add one more to make it 2. I think y'all know what I meant. So looking at the supporters, we've got 4 Sycamore, 4 N. 4 N's really important when you're playing Trevenant because people will try to play around it, so they don't have many trainers, supporters, stadiums, anything like that in their hand. So playing 4N allows you to force your opponent to have 5 or 6 cards in hand. So I definitely like running 4N in the list. We've got 1 Skyla. I kind of mentioned why Skyla's good a moment ago. 1 Wally. 1 Lysandre, because you can always search for it with Tapu Lele. I wouldn't mind having a second Lysandre. I do think 2 is really good, but at the moment we're just trying it with 1. Obviously this isn't the final build of the deck. We can make some more edits as time goes on. 1 Hex Maniac. I did try a 1/1 Alolan Muck, and I never felt like I had the bench space to get it in play. I don't like running the power-stopping Garbodor, the old one or whatever, Garbotoxin, simply because with Field Blower out, you are running the risk of just it not being an effective card anyway. And then if you look at the format right now, there's a lot of Pokemon that are just big basic Pokemon that have the main abilities. You know, Shaymin, Tapu Lele, Volcanion, things like that. And Alolan Muck shuts those off too, so I don't really feel like running the Garbotoxin Garbodor is better than running Alolan Muck. Now, Garbotoxin Garbodor helps the most when you're playing against something like Solgaleo because of Ultra Road or Metagross from Geotech systems, but these cards aren't really played that much. I think the only 2 evolutions that are played a lot that have abilities would be Decidueye Vileplume, or the Zoroark that lets you do stand-in or rush-in or whatever it's called. So I do recognize that it's important to turn those abilities off, so that's why I have the 1 Hex Maniac. But even against those decks, if you were running Garbotoxin, you still run the risk of just getting Field Blowered and it not being effective anyway. So if I'm going to stop abilities for a turn that I need it to be super crucial, I want it to be guaranteed that I stop them, so I'm running the Hex Maniac. That's just my opinion on Garbotoxin Garbodor. I loved it back in the day when it would turn off electric, Keldeo, Blastoise, Kling Clang, the Darkrai that gave free retreat to anything that had Dark attached. I loved it back then. But now I think the format's kind of shifting towards decks that are only relying on basics with abilities, and most of those are just for setup purposes. So Alolan Muck, Wobbuffet, Hex Maniac, those are better in my opinion than Garbotoxin right now. Okay, so continuing to look at the list, we've got 4 Choice Band. Obviously that's super important for this deck. I've got 1 Floatstone and 1 Switch. Normally I'm not trying to retreat with this deck too much. If they do send something active, everything, well, if they pull up a Garbodor, I mean, cool, I'll just attack with it. Aside from that, Trevenant is 2 retreat, so that's pretty much why we have the Switch and the Floatstone. But you can always just attach a Double Colorless and retreat there if you wanted to. That's not the end of the world, since you are really focusing on attacking with Garbodor and using your Psychic energies. And then Tapu Lele and Shaymin just have 1 retreat cost, I believe. Let me double check here. I don't know why I don't know that off the top of my head. Yeah, Tapu Lele has 1 retreat cost. So, I mean, I'm not super concerned about stuff being stuck active, but we've got 2 cards to get around it just in case. One thing I will say, be careful when you're attaching tool cards when you're playing against Garbodor, because Field Blower, which we run 2 of, is like Garbodor's best friend. I mean, if you can discard two tools from your opponent's side of the field and add 40 damage to Trash a Lance, and then add a Choice Band and add 30 more, I mean, Field Blower and Choice Band are like a plus 70 to your attack in this deck, so it's really, really good to run Field Blower, and be careful when you're playing against Garbodor if you're attaching too many tools. Taking a look at the rest of the trainers, I think you guys can pretty much figure out why most of them are there. Super Rod is just to get your Psychic energies back. Rescue Stretcher is obviously just to get an important Pokemon back here and there. And then for the energies, I run 6 Psychic and 3 Double Colorless. I don't run 4 Double Colorless because really attacking with Trevenant or Tapu Lele or even Shaymin isn't really the point of the deck, as you guys know, so I don't want to run 5 Psychic and 4 Double Colorless. I'd rather run 6 Psychic and 3 Double Colorless so I can attack with Garbodor more often than not. Also keep in mind on that note, if you attach a Choice Band to Shaymin, you can Sky Return for 60. So that's kind of cool too. So that's it, everybody. Thank you for watching the deck breakdown for Garbodor Trevenant. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked the video. I hope you subscribe. Thank you again for watching, and stay tuned because we'll definitely edit the deck and play around with it and see what else we can do to make it even better. So again, thank you for watching, and remember when you're playing Pokemon to always have fun.